George St. Pierre is coming out of retirement. Yoel Romero still waiting for his shot. Luke Rockhold, he's talking about leaving the UFC. I'm Dan Cox. Thank you for joining me. There's a lot of unhappy people with the fact that GSP, after being out so long, will get a title shot in his first fight back. Now listen, Yoel Romero was promised a shot a long time ago, and he definitely has earned it. But the business of MMA isn't always fair, and with a legend like GSP stepping back into the octagon, the money will always be the deciding factor. And a win against champ Michael Bisping, St. Pierre gets his title back that he walked away from after his close and highly disputed decision win over Johnny Hendricks. Now the question is, should he get a title shot in his first fight back? And respect to Michael Bisping. Listen, the guy earned the title. Years of hard work. A KO win over Rockhold. He beat the man who was considered the best of all time in Anderson Silva. But the fact is, Michael Bisping is an underdog against any of the top three. Now, some say that this is the easiest fight for GSP in his comeback. And rumors are that he will retire if he wins the title. Which leaves you to wonder, listen, one of the reasons the fighters like Luke Rockhold are talking about possibly leaving the UFC could be exactly for these reasons. The bottom line is the fans want to see the best fight the best. And that's not what we're seeing. So you have to ask yourself, and I respect GSP. The guy is a legend. You look what he's done in his career, and he ended undefeated, ended the champ, let me say, and he's coming back, gets the title shot. Everyone else is standing in line. They're working their butt off to get that shot, and GSP jumps in. So you have to understand, there are a lot of very unhappy fighters who have sacrificed for that title shot. But again, this is a business, and it looks to me, as a fan of boxing, a fan of combat, that the UFC is starting to drop the ball. They're starting to drop the ball. Boxing is coming up. They're putting big fights out. The UFC, we've got some of their biggest fighters talking about leaving the promotion. And that speaks volumes. Speaks volumes. Now, with George St. Pierre coming back in a fight with Michael Bisping, and again, nothing but respect for Bisping, but this is the easiest fight for St. Pierre because Bisping is the underdog against any of the top three in the division. And you've got, you got to wonder if GSP is coming in and literally has stated, and I don't know if it's to be fact, but that if he wins, he's going to retire. Personally, I don't understand the point of coming back to fight, take the title and retire. If that's what you want to do, you never lost the title. So retire on that. Be happy. You still are the champ, right? You retired as a champ. But give the guys like Yoel Romero, the top three, Rockhold, Musasi, these guys, give them, Weidman, give them the opportunity to get the belt, to go back, prove what they can do. You see what they've done in the past. These guys are progressing. They work extremely hard. This is the fight game. You don't have a long career. So when you have to wait a year or 2 years for that title shot, a la Yoel Romero, who is not a young man, not a young man. He's earned the shot, was promised a shot. He's still waiting for that shot. So it comes down to the business of the sport, guys, and you have to respect it. As fans, we make this happen because we buy the pay-per-views. We support the sport, and that's what we do. And I will continue to support the sport. But I will continue to complain and call a spade a spade. And I love George. I don't think he deserves a title shot his first fight back. I think they're giving him the easiest fight he could possibly get, even though Bisping is a champ. And Mike, no disrespect, brother. You've earned it. You've done it. But listen, Yoel Romero is a killer. The top three are killers. George doesn't want a piece of that. So I'm wondering personally, I'm sitting here wondering, is it possible that George St. Pierre would literally come in, and if he beats Bisping, because look back at the last few fights for Bisping, he's come up with some crazy, awkward left hooks, punches that come from crazy angles. He's committing to these shots. He's got a lot of confidence. He's worked so hard for this. You know, if George loses to Bisping, it's over. But again, if George wins and his plan is to retire, it's over too. So it's not really fair. I'm looking at the elite guys. In my mind, Yoel Romero is the number one guy, deserves the shot, a total killer. I want to see the best fight the best, which is not GSP and Michael Bisping, unfortunately. It's Yoel Romero. He was promised a shot. Give it to him. Bisping, stand up. You know, hey, I know you're a champ. You want to make money while you're in there. And I understand. You know who Yoel Romero is as well. And so I don't blame you for getting that money and going for George. But you cannot run away. You have to be the champ, and the champ fights the best. Doesn't duck him. Doesn't do it for money. He's in there to fight and prove he's the best. I believe in you, Bisping. I think you could do it. It's just a matter of doing it. So, hey, what are we going to do? What are your guys' thoughts? I'm really curious on this whole situation because Bellator is stacking their lineup with UFC fighters. Rory McDonald, Mitrione. We'll go down the line. Are we going to see Rockhold over there? Are we going to see some other elite top 5, top 3 fighters jump ship because of politics? Because of not getting the shots they were promised? I don't know. But one thing I do know, boxing is coming on strong. We're seeing big fights in boxing. We just had the other night, Canelo go against Chavez Jr. Not too awful entertaining, really. Chavez Jr. did what he has done in the past. He kind of stunk it up. Canelo dominated. But now Canelo is going against the once thought unstoppable Triple G, Gennady Golovkin, in September. That's a huge fight. That's going to really bring a lot of people to the arena, but a lot of money to the gate. And that's the difference between the UFC and boxing. When boxing puts the best against the best, they have an incredible pay-per-view dollar. It's just not that way in the UFC. So let's see. But I want to say one thing. Listen, guys, you have to support the sport, and you've got to come up and speak about this. Do you think GSP deserves a title shot in his first fight back after his last fight with Johnny Hendricks, which was highly disputed? So many thought he lost that fight. Does he deserve this title shot? And what about Yoel Romero? He's not getting any younger. What else can this man do? He has done everything it takes to get the shot he was promised. What happens now? Will politics ruin the UFC? And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, man. Will politics literally ruin the UFC? Well, they do this to the point that we see the best fighters leave the UFC to go to another promotion so they can fight, and so they have the ability to fight for the title. It's getting to that point. I don't know if everybody sees it, but that's what's happening. So, hey, guys, do me a favor. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I want you to check out my friend and the dominant man on Twitter for MMA and combat, And that's Kate Breton, 1973, and Team Tweeters. Do yourself a favor. If you want to support this sport, you need to speak to this man, get involved, make a difference. So for Modern Pugilist Entertainment, I'm Dan Cox. I will see you next time.